Hello, good morning in Dubai and good afternoon in Singapore. Welcome,
Hi.
welcome Rajalakshmi Iyer to Shambhavi Spectrum in my Marketing Magic Industry Insight series. I am so pleased, so honored to have you that you found the time. Before we say anything, I must say that I've been following you on LinkedIn and I love your background, virtual background now, which I have seen you showcase on your LinkedIn page for other people in their offices. And your company, which is called Deeproot Designs and Living. You're
Products.
founder and director of Deeproot Designs and Living Products. So, do I understand that these are two different organizations, Rajalakshmi?
Yes. And first, good afternoon to you as well. I'm really honored to be on this session with you. And I'm sure, we all of us have a story. And like you said, very rightfully, all of us have a story to tell. And I personally believe in that every story matters.
Of
Yes,
course,
both
especially
the,
we are the heroes in our
yes,
own story. So, please
correct.
go
All
ahead.
of
Yeah,
us
please.
always learn with somebody, from someone, something or the other, right? And some situation teaches you as well. So these are two different firms. DPRO's design is into landscape architecture. So we pretty much do exterior, interior landscape that is on larger scale as well as residences. And Living Products is into creating biophilic products, which is a very new genre wherein we are trying to bring wellness as close as possible to people. So I call myself as a connector, a person who connects people to nature. That's what I do. I'm a bridge basically. And I needed both of these arms of mine to be able to connect to people in every way possible and bring nature into their lives as easily as possible.
Which is so amazing, especially in the last 1 year, we've seen that how much of nature we had probably
Yes.
suppressed in our own urban world without realizing some of it, and then how
True.
nature has actually come back and supported us. And while many negative things have might have been happening around the world, but the positive thing which happened was that nature got a little air to breathe and come back.
Perfectly.
Yeah,
And I think
so
in this pandemic, people have also realized, how good it was to just be at home or be surrounded by plants and how it has de-stressed many of them. So I think people have now started realizing the importance of nature as well. And it was high time, I guess. So we needed to have this wake up call.
So
So,
tell me a little bit background. You mentioned earlier on that for 23 years you've been an entrepreneur, and I know that usually from our culture background, entrepreneurship or women entrepreneurship is
yes.
not so highlighted. I wouldn't say that we've not had them, but yes, we've not. It's not so highlighted. So how did you become an entrepreneur?
So I come from a Tambram family, a very middle class family in Pune, born brought up in Pune, and around I think around when I was in ninth standard, so must be about 13, 14 years old, I used to draw and paint a lot. And so in school, the classroom used to be filled with my artwork because we used to get this best class award and stuff. So they used to hound me to bring all my artwork, and my artwork used to be pinned up all over. And one of my max professors asked me, "What do you want to do, Raji?" And at that point, I had no exposure. I just said, maybe an artist. He said, artist, you know what a struggle that is to be an artist. So why don't you look at something else? So I said, what? Then he said, how about architecture? And I never heard about it because I come from a family where we have no entrepreneurs. All of us have done either engineering or medicine, or we're professionals, so to say. So I didn't know what was architecture. And so he was really kind enough to take me to one of the architectural offices who are our alumni from the school. And they showed me product design and architecture. And that's when, the whole world opened up. And I realized that I loved creating spaces. I loved creating, houses or outdoor spaces and indoor. I was always drawing and designing. And I used to design clothes for people. I used to design jewelry. I still design jewelry and handbags. So I used to keep on designing. So I said, why not? I mean, if I am able to affect somebody, I would like to do something like that because I think from childhood, I come from a family when my grandparents always ingrained it into us that you need to be useful to others. You need to be helping all the time. So if I thought, look, why not? If I take a profession that I'm able to help somebody, as well as, I'm happy doing what I'm doing, that is the best thing to go ahead with. And so in ninth standard, I decided I want to be an architect. So I applied at 12th. I was just focused. I went through 12th because I wanted to be an architect. And I applied in just 2 universities in 12th, thinking I'm definitely going to walk into them. And we had the Bombay floods, and my application got lost, never
Oh
reached
no.
JJ College in Bombay. And I was left with one college. My father was absolutely on a panic mode that you have not applied anywhere else. Your results have come out. Do you want to take a BSc at least? What if you don't get into architecture? But I was very confident I'm going to get into it. And I said, I will take 1 year break, but I'll try again, kind of a thing. So I got into architecture, and when I
And
was
where
doing
was this?
architecture
Sorry,
in
where
Pune,
was this? Huh?
in
Pune.
Pune.
Eh,
So I've studied in Abhinav. It's called as BKPS, also known
Okay.
as Abhinav.
Uh,
And in second year, we got introduced to landscape. So I was completely bitten by it when I saw that, I could design nature, I could design outdoors, I could design in and out, kind of a thing. That enamored me. I mean, just the thought of having a space that transits from one to out, from in to out or out to in a very smooth way. For me, an ideal home is that. Typically, we have our own agraharam houses where we have a central courtyard. So I've been brought up with that kind of a, kind of a situation wherein we have the nature coming into our spaces, and then the house also looks out to nature behind. So this in and out was always there as part of a culture. And when I saw landscape, I said, that's what I want to do. So I went through entire architecture. And when I was designing my architectural, what do we say, the assignments that we given, I would think like a landscape architect. So all my buildings that I designed would be set in a landscape situation, and they would be catering to the landscape. So to the point that when we had the final viva, and Mr. Shahid, Mohammed Shahid is no more now, he was HOD of SPA Delhi, where I did my masters. He came and he said, Raji, you're already thinking like a landscape architect. Let me remind you, you're not. you better you better concentrate on being an architect first. And architects don't become landscape architects. You need to go through a course and do it and finish it. So it was like, on that I was like, what the hell, I mean, why is somebody talking like that? And
yeah.
so
In
when
your
I went
mind,
to
your
the,
vision is so clear for
yeah,
you that you're
I was
not, how do you
correct.
convey it to
But
others?
so I was intrigued, and then when I applied to SPA, my name was first on the list. I got in because out of, I think, 700 people that applied, they choose 13 or 14 people for the
Wow.
master's program. So my name was on the first on the list. And when I walked in, he remembered me. Oh, you're the girl who did that. And I told this. I said, yeah, can I ask you, why did you say like that? I mean, I was a little bit disappointed when you said that. He said, Raji, I could see the spark in you that you want to be a landscape architect, but I wanted to remind you, when you take up a job, when you do anything in life, if you've taken up something, finish that properly. Don't keep jumping around like a monkey. And that is something that's really stuck into my head. You take something, do it nicely, then go to the next, then to the next, because we tend to, oh, we've got this, now let's go to this, let's go to that, and we keep jumping like that. And I mean, I think I found a guru, and I keep telling people, for me, there is nothing called as luck. I always say that you're blessed. When you say you're blessed is when you have the right people in your life at the right time, and the right things happen to you at the right time. Or even when something wrong happens, you have somebody guiding you or taking you out of it, or, making it a bit, that's when you're lucky. I think I'm lucky in that sense, or I'm blessed. So I had this person right time in my life. He taught me what was landscaping all about. How should you approach landscape? It is not a pretty pattern making exercise. The responsibility that you have as a landscape architect is, what you draw on the paper is going to be etched on Mother Earth.
Right.
It's a huge responsibility that you take on. So you can't just make a fancy design and then it's permanently done on Mother Earth. So you owe it to her to give her a good design, or give something to the humanity that it leaves a good footprint. So that's something I'll never forget. And I keep telling all the girls in the team, my team as well, who joins, that even the students, that please don't forget this. Just don't make a beautiful design, it looks nice. Think about how it is going to affect the community, how it's going to affect the people, how it's going to affect the environment around it. And so I was blessed to study under him. He was a HOD, and he guided me on the style of landscape that I do now. But all said and done, the story was not that simple as well, because when we passed out, we had these, all the foreign landscape architects coming into India then, and they were showing such beautiful presentations, such pretty drawings, and all nice pattern exercise, that to some extent we thought that is what was landscape. So to some extent, I started doing that kind of landscape as well in the initial stages of my life. And I had a kind of a turnaround when I moved to Australia. And when I had to present to them, I realized that inherently we are so strong in our culture that we think deeply. And I could give really strong concepts that had a meaning and they had a depth to it. That's when I realized why was I, the grass is green on the other side, they always say, right? So
Right.
even though we have it in us, we always trying to emulate others, thinking we're not good enough. So that is when we decided, no, let's rebrand ourselves at Deep Roots Design. And that's how the name came about, that we'll
Name.
say we'll be deep rooted. Whatever we do, there is a meaning to it. We'll be deep rooted to our culture, to our site, to the people, to their philosophies. And that's how we will design. So that's how we rebranded ourselves when we understood, what is a why for us, basically. So that's how it
Right.
started the journey. And so I
So
started my journey in 1998.
in Australia with Deep Root
No, in India, in
in
India. So I passed out from Delhi, and again the same thing. I'm from SPA, and I got really good marks and stuff. So I thought, oh, when I come to Bombay, I'll be very easy to get a job and stuff. And I landed in Bombay because I was married by then. So what happened is, while I was in college, my father suddenly died, and it just left us as a shock. The entire family we just didn't know what happened, because within 3 days we lost him. Even before we could just fathom what happened, we lost him,
sorry.
and I
Yeah.
was then in fourth year. And my mother was a housewife who didn't know how to even sign a check. So pretty much at that point, I suddenly grew up, overnight, basically, and had to manage his finances, understand whether we really had any savings, whether we could even survive, because my mother was not working. I was studying. I have a younger sister who was in engineering then. And luckily for us, my mother's family, my mamas, and everybody was around, and very close knit family. So they all kind of helped. And by then, my marriage was kind of finalized. It's a love marriage. Me and my husband are kind of made for each other. So we found ourselves, and so their family also came in and said, no, 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 let's get married soon because we want to take your responsibility. So I got
Right.
married very fast while I was studying in final year. So I went back, finished my education, and then they were very, very happy for me to go into my master's. Again, very unusual for our kind of families to allow their daughter-in-law to, after marriage, to go and do her master's in another city. And so I went, and they supported with my fees and everything. And they've been a brick all the way through. I think I wouldn't be where I am without the support of my in-laws or my husband or my family, definitely.
Yeah,
So
very nice, because usually I do ask this question about, who are your mentors, what was the role of the family, and you have said that from the beginning the family has been there for you. And also when I look at some of the new generation, like who are not ready for their own responsibilities, forget about others' responsibilities, I think it's a great message which goes that things can be viewed with a different perspective,
yes,
and one getting married is not the end of it. It's
of
only
course,
the beginning for so many new things which one can do, where two minds and two families are better than one in taking
definitely.
care of. It's a lovely insight into your life which you've shared with me, Rajashmi. Thank you so much for that. Uh,
And another
yes, please
point on
go
the
ahead.
same thing, and another point, when I have girls joining us in the office, we started as an all-women office initially. Okay, so when I join, I always tell them, guys, your parents have spent a lot of money and a lot of effort to put you through this education. You owe it to them because you've chosen a professional course, right? You owe it to them to be your professional. And another thing I very strongly believe is, if you are not happy inside, you're not happy doing what you do, you can never, never make others happy around you. If the glass is half empty, what are you going to give from your glass when it's half empty, right? So, first and foremost is your personal happiness. And that will come only when you passionately do what you wanted to study and what you want to do. And that passion, if you have it right, they will see it and they will support you as well. You have to make them support you. Sometimes it's not that easy, but you have to convince your husband, you have to convince your in-laws. And our profession, architectural profession, is such that sometimes there are deadlines, we work till 1 or 2, and it's a bit stressful as well. It's not that easy. But I think if you really enjoy what you do, you should be able to do it. I mean, you have to convince others to do it.
Right.
So,
So
and
Deep Root Designs is the landscape part of
landscape,
that. Yes.
correct.
So just very briefly, as I understand, I mean, I have architects in the family and very close ones, but as I understand, what your product offerings are, that inside, outside, and you design the landscape, and like you said, it has a deep impact, and for many years to come. Like, I mean, it's like forever
Yes.
kind of a thing. Give me a little bit more insight into how does your offering take place? Like, I mean, does it, am I to approach you before I start building, or am I to approach you after I've started? When does
When do we come into the picture,
when do you
basically?
come into the picture? And
So,
also from paper to actually seeing what you have planned for us, maybe with my consent or maybe some of it, on your expertise, then how much time does it normally take? I mean, what is the incubation period like?
Correct. Okay, so to the first question, landscape architects normally work with architects or the clients directly. So many a times, ideally, we should be called in when the project is envisaged. Like when we're doing the Microsoft campus or we're doing something for Google, they will call us when the project has they've just done a groundbreaking ceremony, or even before it's on the paper, like the builders have developed or the developers have decided we want to go ahead and do this project. This is our client. They need to inform us. I mean, they need to get us on board. So architects will always come first on board. After the architects, the landscape architects, the lighting consultants, the MEP consultants, and all these people, all the various consultants fall into place. And till about even about till 5 years ago, we used to be called even after the entire building design was done. So there was no awareness that we guys can help you even place the building in the right place, depending on the orientation of the sun, depending on the wind direction, depending on how the spaces can be formed and the activities that we can plan. We need to be called in first, but unfortunately, that awareness was not there till about 5 years ago. So we used to be called after the building was done, the roads are done, and like now just green it up, Thoda either lawn laga do, put some trees here. That was the mentality. So it took some time to kind of educate people. I've been doing this for now 23 years. So when we did the entire city of Nagpur, we had a bit of a trouble explaining to people what we do and that we are professional. We do drawings. We don't stand on site like a Mali or a gardener and get it done. So there was a lot of this education that had to happen when we started. But of late, there is a good awareness. People call us as soon as the project is, kind of even envisaged by them. And we come on board with the architects. So we kind of design with them. So we do, like I said, suppose it's a plot of land, a square plot of land. The architect could put his house wherever he wants, and we then decide and tell him, oh, put it in the top corner, bottom corner, center, whatever, based on what the client wants. If she says, I want a swimming pool, I want a huge ground behind, I entertain a lot, I need a large lawn, I need 5-car parking, whatever is thing. So based on that, we will place the house and we'll tell the architect as well. Then he does the house and we design all the exterior part of it. We also design the Biophilic inside the houses, like green walls or any other new products that we design. Something like this can be taken indoors as well. So, so we come in and out basically. So the architects and us have to kind of work together and come up with the whole design. Depends on the project. Sometimes the projects can go to even 3 to 4 years, because we've been doing projects which are 100 acres and plus. They go on for like 4 to 5 years. And if it's a residence or somebody's house or a terrace or whatever, it can even finish in 2 months. So it all depends on the scale of the project, basically.
Okay. So this is now, like your background, you said this is a part of your DEEPROOTS itself, or is it a part of the other
Living
organization? Living. This is for the living product.
Yeah, for the 4 years ago, when we were asked by Infosys to do the interior landscape, we had never done it before. But again, like I said, they are one of these, the blessings that I count them as blessings. So they said, no, we worked with you, we know you have to do it. You can do it, kind of a thing. And they just trusted us. No, go for it. We'll help you and support you, kind of a thing. So and the entire interiors was done again, just like an architect, the interior designer had finished everything. And they wouldn't give us a water point, light point, nothing, and said, oh, now add the landscaping into it, kind of a thing. And then we struggled. We realized there was nothing in the market. There were just some green walls and some potted plants. And that is not what we wanted to do, because we wanted to make it a bit more creative. And then we had to source, get some artisans to make some things for us. And then we said, oh, we've been wanting to get into this segment. And so why don't we get into it? So all the savings that I've been saving to buy for a new office have plunged into this business. And we call it as living products. Living because it has a live element into it. So any product we design will have a plant into it. So I thought like, oh, we've been doing things on a macro level, connecting people to nature. If I had to connect more people to nature, I need to go micro. And that's the reason we got into products, which is, more intimate. And products like this, like we can get 3 plants in 6 inches, which is really not possible anyways. And because we worked it out in such a way, there's no leakage, there's no mosquito breeding, you don't have to water often, all the pain points that people complain, right? They say we love nature, but we can't take care of it. We kill it.
I would have exactly asked you this question that, what about, water is a precious commodity. So then how does this work? I know that I need to have a green surrounding around me, but water, I am paying my water bills. So, how does this work? I'm more interested, and I'm sure my audience is also going to be more interested in that. Please tell us more about it.
So there were some of these pain points. Like I said, typically when you do you do your management, people ask, when you go to a client, you should first try to find out what are the pain points. They will give you all the good things. Oh, everything is working fine. This is fine. That's fine. I can do this. No, but what are the pain points? Why are we even designing then, right? So we got onto the pain points first, and we realized people said, I love plants, but I kill them. One, I don't know
Yes.
when to water, when not to water. Second thing, I don't know how much to water. Third thing is, I don't know which plant to place where. The fourth thing is, like you said, is the light enough, not enough? Then there is leakages because the pots would, leak water down. It disturb the carpet or the flooring. Then you have mosquito breeding. So we took all the pain points, and the product that we've designed has a kind of a proprietary soil mix in it, which comes in a proprietary pouch. So we need to water only once in 7 to 10 days. So we
Wow.
don't even have to water it regularly. And we're
Okay.
importing certain plant gels which are not carcinogenic from
Mm.
Israel, and we use that in our plants. So in our office, we have not watered for like 20, 25 days. So
Wow.
indoors, we need to water only 15 to 20 days. We say 15 because it depends on the weather. And if you're in an aircon situation, generally we suggest do water once a week because people think aircon, it's cool, right? You don't need to water plants. No, it's dry.
It's dry,
The
dry,
air is
yeah.
dry, and the plants need moisture. So if you're happy to mist, then it's fine. You can water like once in 15, 20 days and just mist once in 4, 5 days. So it's a proper science. It's not that easy, like, you just fix a plant and say, oh, you're done, your job is done. No, we need to figure out which plant will go where, how much light does it need? Do I need to give it artificial light, which is called as grow lights? Or do I need to, and the soil is different. The normal soil that you would use in a potted plant outside your house will be different from the soil you'll use in your balcony. It will be different from the soil you'll use indoors because plants don't like aircon. They feel very
Right.
cold in their roots.
Right.
And if they are very cold in the roots, they quickly die, they wither. So for us to keep them warm, we have to add certain things in the root zone. So it's a proper science altogether, which is something that we are educating and explaining to people. And there are professionals who do this, not even us. We have horticulturists on board who will guide us on which plant and how much light and how much light we need to give it as a grow light, as we call it. What should be the soil? How close is it from the aircon? Then what soil? If it is far from the aircon, then what soil? And so there's a proper science behind the whole thing.
Science
And that is
behind it.
and that is the
Right.
reason we started Living Products about 4 years ago as a
Okay.
startup. And we set up our own workshop. And we're very glad to say that we have patented our first product as well. And
Wow.
we've done an
Congratulations.
international search, and we found that there was no product like this internationally as well. So we're gathering money to patent in a few countries because it's all very expensive. So we're going
Right.
to slowly patent in a few strategic countries that we think we will go next.
Right. Very,
Yeah.
very nice. Congratulations. And I wish you all the best for that. Tell me something, Rajalakshmi. What is the role of technology in all this for the plants? And like, there are so many components which you brought in about whether it is light or temperature and stuff.
Right.
What is the role of technology in this?
So there is IoTs. You can use IoTs in the sense we can have an app-based system, basically, which will tell you when to water your plants and when you have actually watered. So this becomes really easy for organizations to monitor it. That is one. And there are certain BMS systems. We call them as building management systems. So these BMS systems can be connected to ET sensor. ET sensor is an evapotranspiration sensor. So it senses whether the atmosphere it's going to rain or, there's enough moisture, and it will release water accordingly. So now, typically in a traditional way, what happens? Somebody comes and sets it up. Whether you need the water or not, it's going to, the drip will start and it will water the plants. But in a sensor-based system like this, it will actually sense whether you really need to water, and that helps us save water. Because we don't have to water if you don't have to water. And many a times for plants, it's okay to dry out the soil and then give the water. People feel really, oh my God, the soil is dry, the plants are wilting. Doesn't matter. Give it water within 10 minutes, it's fine again.
Right.
But don't overwater it. It hates
Mm.
overwatering more than that.
Mm.
So there are a
Mm.
lot of technologies, app-based systems as well that we can use
Okay.
in this.
So, and one more thing which I came across yesterday when I was reading up something that they now have these pots which are made with food scraps. Yeah, with
Yes.
organic food scraps. So, are you already using some of this, or is it something which you would plan?
So
Uh,
these are like the composting pots,
yeah.
basically. The thing is, they use certain chemicals to advance it becoming from a food scrap to a manure, right? Now, I'm not sure about these chemicals yet. I would prefer doing it the traditional way. The composting takes at least 3 to 4 weeks in a traditional way. wherein
Right.
you use a bin and you put your food scraps and you put your flowers and your dried leaves and soil, and you have your you have your the worms into it and things like that. I think nature should be allowed to take its own course at some point. Now, I see a lot of these designer kids coming and showing us these projects wherein there is a pot and they're saying, oh, we're going to make this into scrap and the plants are growing immediately. It doesn't happen like that because there is smell. There are a lot of other issues we need to take care of. But I'm very happy that people have started thinking of it and they're not shying away from having a compost as part of their regular furniture or artifact that they want to have in the house. And I think that's an excellent first step for us
Yeah.
to take.
It's a big it's a big change that waste is not going waste,
Definitely.
and that you're
And
trying
it's
to think
brown
of.
gold,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
manure
right.
is like brown gold, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's come to a little bit about the marketing part of it. So you told me why you chose the name DEEPROOTS, and in a way I also got about why you have your name as Living Products. Tell me more about what do you do to tell people about what your business is. Do you have a website?
Yes, so we have a website. We've been having a website for a long time, from the time we started, basically. And I do. We have LinkedIn. We are a little bit active on the social media platforms like Instagram and LinkedIn. And for us, Touchwood, for DEEPROOTS till now, it has just been word of mouth. We never had a business development manager or anything for our projects, and we've done about 250 projects to date. So it was
Wow.
just about word of mouth, and one person telling the other person, "These guys do a good job," or the PMC telling. So I would like to highlight this point even to the students and to you. Building relationships with your clients, your vendors, your contractors, sometimes there's magic. You really don't have to pump in, a lot of money that people pump in on many things like your Google ads and this and that and all that stuff as well. If you don't have that relationships on the ground level, right, it is not going to help you because you'll be just fluttering from one project to another. You will finish, but you might not get a repeat client as well. So I think building relationships matters. That from that building relationship is how you treat them. You should treat them the way you want to be treated by them.
Right.
So
Right.
even if they get upset and they shout sometimes, we always respond very politely. Like if you see the emails that go from our office that have a good day, have a good weekend, we have a smile, and we have had these hardcore developers who are like, how come the drawing didn't come today? They will pick up the phone and we're like, yes, hold on, it is coming. Part of it will come today, part will tomorrow. These were the reasons what we couldn't send, and I hope you're okay. Did you have your lunch? We just quickly diffuse the whole thing, and then we send it out to them. And so now those teams have absolutely stopped, calling us like that. They are really happy working with us, and even it's become a joke now in their teams as well. That it's been so comfortable. I'm off my BP medicines. Working with you guys has been so nice, and so we tell them in a structured way that look, these drawings take 4 days to make. I cannot give it to you in one day, and we tell them upfront. This is how it is going to be. So on the marketing point, I think honesty. When you tell them honestly why you need particular time and how you intend to do it, people understand. Second thing is relationship. Have a fantastic relationship and always mutual respect for them as well, because nobody is bad. Situation makes them bad, or situation
Right.
makes them want to shout at you. So you shouldn't take it as a per se thing. And third thing is, of course, you have to be visible. You have to be visible on your LinkedIn. You have to be visible on your social media. Unfortunately, most of the sales are happening on social media. So for us, these three things, and of course, talks like this or publications in magazines, we've been published quite a bit in the papers and magazines as well. That has also helped made us a bit more visible, so to say.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. So you have actually brought it back to the fact that being customer centric is the most important element in
definitely,
any organization, and realizing
definitely.
what your customer wants and how to go about it. And I mean, I'm not surprised about it, and I'm sure you're not also, that any industry, any entrepreneur I speak to, they always say that word of mouth is the most effective method. Whatever else works or doesn't work, word of mouth
True.
always works. And in alignment with that, the product offering that you're giving should be with honesty. So these
Yes,
are some things which, invariably, wherever you are, whichever line you are in, these remain constant. So that
of
is
course.
really
Yeah.
a great insight for people who think that they can get away or not do. It's right to come back to Mother Earth and be grounded on these facts. I think is a great insight. And so I should thank you for that, Rajalakshmi. Tell me, do you send newsletters?
No, actually. I used to subscribe to some, and I realized I was getting irritated with those newsletters which were coming every week, and half the time I would never read them as well. And monthly newsletters are kind of okay, and I pick and choose and read some. But we have not been making newsletters to send out to people. We thought, why don't we just use LinkedIn as a platform? So I do feed into LinkedIn at least twice a week. I used to do more often, but again, I realized that also doesn't work. People don't want to be bombarded too much. So twice a week seems to be good enough, or sometimes even once a week. I don't take the stress on, wanting to post regularly on it
Right.
or something. I think the matter should be there that people
Yeah.
find interesting, and what can I share with them, not just for the post of posting, not for the sake of posting, so to say. But no, we've not tried newsletters for the simple reason that even I didn't like reading many, so I was not sure whether people really bothered to read as well.
So I always have this
So
discussion about newsletters and say that maybe the people or the type of newsletters that you were reading were not correct content oriented, so which
maybe.
would make you read. So that's why I always, because that is so when we talk about marketing, we look at paid, owned and earned media, and this
Correct.
is something which you own, which you don't really need to pay for. And it's even if you're paying for an email which you're using a system, it's like very very
Yeah.
micro amount.
Correct. Correct.
So yeah, so with that in mind, then this is a debate which goes on even with entrepreneur circles where I'm part of communities on Facebook or other media. And so I always ask people, do you send newsletters? And how could you make it more interesting? Probably would be a thought.
Mm.
Do you blog?
I tried once or twice, but no, not regularly. No, I've not been able to get into all that stuff at all because pretty much there's too much. I'm handling two businesses in that sense, and then workload, and we're out of the pandemic now. Things are slowly picking up, and we had to take care of ourselves in the pandemic, and my entire team, mental, physical, everything. So there was lots going on the plate at that moment. So no, not blogging
Right.
yet.
Right. So maybe not by yourself, you would look at an option of asking
Yeah, yeah, why
somebody to
not?
help create the content and
Definitely,
stuff like
definitely. I
that.
mean,
And again, I'm going back to this. And like when you said social media, fortunately or unfortunately, you sell a lot of it. The only thing which I find about social media is that because it moves on very quickly, you're out of the feed and stuff, which is where a website is more kind
yes.
of not only adding to your credibility, all your information is there. And that is where I think that blog, the serious users or the serious people
Mm,
who maybe I'm a student today, I don't have the place in my room to do anything with the kind of products that you have, but 5 years down the line when I have my own office or I have
mm,
my own apartment, that will still remain in my mind. And it's not so difficult to search for it at that time compared to what it would be on a social media
okay.
platform. This is
Right.
purely
That's a
my
very
view.
valid point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is purely my view on it. And as because social media gives you that visibility, as you said, but it is now. What about
Mm,
in the future? How does that make into the future
correct.
is the thing.
What are
So
the
we've
three things you mentioned, Shambhavi? The paid, owned, and which was the other one?
earned
Earned.
earned media. Yeah.
So
So
what
the
do you mean
paid
by
is of
earned?
yeah. So earned is like when you put up a post and people share it
Ah,
and
okay.
they kind of make comments on it or they so basically earned is which any which you create anywhere which is shared by other people. So I
Mm,
could be sharing your blog or I could be sharing your website details, anything which you share. So it's
correct.
paid. So
Okay.
one of the things which we always realize, and when I teach this only, I realize that there is so much of owned media which we have, which we don't actually
Never
use.
use. I
Yes.
think it was
So
an aha moment for me today. Yeah. Really very
thank you
nice.
for
Yeah.
that. Thank
No,
you for that.
serious.
So,
Ah,
and
actually.
all
Mm,
right. So we should have a discussion offline as well.
yeah.
So what about your do you conduct workshops?
Um, no, but I have been giving talks to students and other people as well. If anybody approaches me, I'm very happy to talk. So cross section, like Rotaries and students and whoever is interested in what is landscaping all about and how you should be designing from our experience. Or we have a body called ISOLA, Indian Society of Landscape Architects. So I was invited to speak there as well as an international speaker. So yeah, definitely like to do speaking assignments, but workshop, no, not yet, no.
Okay. So no,
Because
no.
design workshop is a slightly different thing. You need to be actually, you can't do it online. It's going to be a little bit tough to do it online, being
Mhm.
designers. Yeah.
Okay. And I've just been dying to ask you this question from the very beginning is everyone says that you should not have, not everyone, I mean, there's always a debate on this, whether you can have plants in the bedroom or you can't, you should
You
not have.
should. You should.
So this is a,
Because there are, no, no, no. There are a lot of plants for a lot of places. Like there are certain plants that do very well in bedroom because they help you sleep. because there are certain plants that generate more oxygen in the night. So typically, when I talk about trees, we had this saying, right? Please don't go and sit under a peepal tree or a banyan tree in the night. So I'm always fascinated by our Indian culture and why we were told not to use certain plants and use certain plants. And I've been doing that as a personal research. Because the third thing that I want to start is called as Sasya. It is a non-for-profit organization wherein I want to bring back traditional as well as medicinal plants. And so what we're trying to do is empower a village down south and teach them to grow these medicinal plants, as well as, the plants we would use in our prayers or homam and all these puja, because we don't get them anymore. And then so that they can still, generate revenue for themselves and they don't have to go back to the cities. So these are the things that I would definitely like to bring in, especially more knowledge about why we should be surrounded by certain plants and what these certain plants do, because plants also have a frequency. Now, a simple situation, like in hindsight, I think of when I grew up, my grandpa had a huge garden in Pune. We had a L-shaped, very huge garden, lot of fruit trees, lot of flowering trees like the parijat, hibiscus, and all the plants we would keep for God. Basically, we never had lawn, we never had any of these fancy plants, only plants that were utilitarian. And every morning, the job was before going to school, pluck the flowers and go and give it to my party, my grandma, to keep it for God, for her prayers. So I realized the very action of actually touching the plants, talking to them, checking if the flowers are coming or not. Are they okay? Is that an insect on them? And then taking the fruits and going and giving it to, keeping it at God's altar. This connection is kind of lost now because we buy from the shop. We get the flowers from the shop. We don't actually plug them. And then we just keep it at Lord. I think there was a huge, we are losing on something huge that was happening at that point when we personally plugged the flowers and we kept it God. So during this entire session where I've been reading and collecting, there are very good books on sacred plants and I've been reading them and I've got my own bank of information. But I remember one of our Vadyar who had come to our place told me one very simple thing. He said, when the sole purpose of the flower, if we assume that a flower also is living and it has a soul, or a plant, right? The sole purpose of the flower is to come at the Lord's feet. That is the purpose of the flower, to be even able to bloom and to be their existence is to be able to come in God's feet. So when you kind of understand certain things like that, you look at it in a lot of respect. Because then you bring the flower and with respect, you want to facilitate the flower to reach God, So when these small things happen, you start getting connected to them on a different level altogether. That's why there were certain plants that were suggested to be used in landscaping because they have a different frequency. So these frequencies of the plants match to the frequency of the Lord. That's why there are, it's written in our Puranas, it's written everything, like Lakshmi likes certain plants, Ganesha likes certain plants, Krishna likes certain plants, because they found that these plant frequencies match to the Lord's frequencies.
Okay.
So I always wonder why.
This is another discussion which we need to have, because I should tell you this, and I'll be quite honest about it. I know a whole lot of people who follow like what you're saying, that, plucking the flowers and bringing them on. And I personally, and I have a whole lot of people who I meet who are like, just let the flower remain. I cannot go to the plant and pluck it. I don't know why. Okay. And so I just want to let it be there. So this is a discussion which definitely warrants another
so you have to pluck all the flowers. I'm sure we should leave some for the plant as well.
So see, now you're now.
I wouldn't pluck all of them as well. Even now I have a garden. I wouldn't pluck all. If there are two, I'll leave one on the plant and take one to the God. Because somewhere inside me as well, I feel that, it'll be so nice. The plant must be happy, having the flower.
That's what, like I said, so whatever our religious or decorative or, whatever our this thing is, people have professions around it. And so it's with respect to everybody. We'll have this discussion definitely in another for a Rajalakshmi, and I will be all for it. So please, I hope you do share your website details and stuff like that with me, and I'll post it into the thing. And just another question: does the website have a chat bot?
No.
Have you thought about it? No, because it's just curiosity, are you planning at any point?
Yes, we want to have one. In fact, I saw a few websites wherein they can actually click the number given on the website and we get a phone call.
Right.
So that is something that I want to action on. We got the website done, and but a chatbot or call to connect, basically the action call to action as we call it, should be there. So we need to be connecting the numbers, something, and we are finding somebody who can do this for us. But a chatbot would help because they can put queries and we can answer quickly, or it can come to us. Something like that
Great.
has to be done. Yes,
Yes.
for sure.
So you've used the word we many times, and I know you have a team. How many people are there roughly? You said you had women more
We're
earlier.
16.
Uh,
Yeah,
fifth.
yeah. We started with the all women office, and now of
And
course
this
we
is
have the
your
men
office is in Singapore,
in Pune.
in
So
Pune.
our office in Pune is the biggest
Pune.
office. Here in
Okay.
Singapore, we are not. I'm just there alone, and I have
Hello.
a freelancer once in a while. But
Okay.
the Pune office is a bigger office, and we are 16 people now. More women again,
Mm.
less men. But we started with an all-women office when we started in long ago. This, yeah, 1998.
So, what kind of a leader do you think you are? How
I
do
think
others perceive you, or how do
I
you
mean,
perceive yourself?
I believe in teamwork a lot. Okay, so I think we are in DEEPROOTS, we are known as team. We are always a team. And when we get into projects, also I always address everybody as hi team or team only. So I believe very highly in teamwork. And as a leader, I think I love to mentor people. Sometimes I border on being too naive as well, but I've learned my lesson. Not everybody is good as well. So you need to be smart too. But in general, I believe that you will get what you're meant to get, right? So there's no point in
Yeah.
not sharing knowledge or, not mentoring them enough. I would never think like that. Oh, they're anyway going to leave and go. They'll start their own. So let's not tell them all
Right.
this. I would never think like that. So I think what you give, you come back to you in some way or the other, basically. And I consult them a lot before we take any decision. So it's normally team decisions. My seniors are my, all my hands and my eyes. So I consult them a lot on whatever we decide and how we want to go ahead. Financial matters I kind of manage on my own because I think that maturity about understanding how much a business does and how much
Yes.
you are entitled to get, that maturity has to still happen. I feel it's not like in Western world or where even in Singapore or Australia, and everything is the financials are laid open, and then you know very clearly why you're getting the salary, where is the remaining money
Yes.
going. That so
Yes.
that kind of maturity I would hope I can build soon on my in my firm as well, but at the moment no. So we kind of manage, and we are very prudent in how we save. So I was just, now that we are on that point, during the COVID time, what we had a choice, because many of our clients decided to shut, I wouldn't say shut shop, but it was late, the site work stopped because of the pandemic and things like that, so payments got delayed. So we had a choice of laying off somebody in the team, or all of us decided to work 7 hours. We didn't take a salary cut. I wouldn't say cut is when you work 8.5 hours
Yes.
or 8 hours and you're paid less money. No. So we all said we will take the same salaries, but we will work lesser hours. So we
Okay.
all decided what you want to do. The entire team, I was very proud of them. They all said that we don't want to lay off anybody. Let's all do 7 hours. So we all did 7 hours for those 6 months, and we kind of spread out the money that we had, and so that we all got our salaries on the first of every month. We worked only 7 hours, and I told everybody, "You're working 7. You have that extra 1.5. Please upskill yourselves, learn something new, learn softwares, learn other stuff." And as it is, people are stressed. Who's going to get COVID, that, and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I got a health insurance for everybody in the office. So luckily, we got the insurance, and one of our team members had a brain surgery that had to
Oh,
happen, and she comes from a economically backward situation. So we're very happy she could use the money as well. So I was very happy about that part. So we got our health insurance done. We all of us moved to 7 hours, and as a practice, I always save 6 months of salary, always. So in
right.
my bank, I would have liquid. That is, I can withdraw even tomorrow 3 months of salary, and I would be putting the remaining thing in a mutual fund or save for the office. So we had a bank. So there were some months that we didn't get money from the clients because it was delayed, but we took it from our mutual funds, and we all got our salaries on the first. Yeah, whatever said and done. And now we all are back to 8.5 hours. I think we pulled through quite well last year, and we managed to be afloat and kept everybody busy. Even if there was no actual project work, we upskilled ourselves. We did a new website. We learned new skills. We learned Instagram. We learned LinkedIn. We didn't know we were not doing all these things before. And we also put all our data bank together. We had a huge data bank of details and images, putting everything in place, systems in office. So we did a lot of stuff like that. We upskilled the office as well. And so we spent our time very nicely, just like buying, so that as soon as we're ready, we're going to be ready to spring back. So that's how we kind of managed the whole pandemic as well. So
It's so wonderful to listen to you, Rajalakshmi, because I think you've been an exemplary leader, and some of the tips that you've given about keeping salaries and stuff, it is actually always people are advised to do that, but how many actually do that or get around? I think you've
cash flow
given
is
us
the
a
key.
great insight, and I
Yeah.
really
And
appreciate. And
one advice I would
yes,
give on this point is that, Shambhavi, sorry to cut you in, but
no,
one
please.
advice is that many a times I have many of my friends who started offices. First thing they did is went and got a swanky office with a huge rent and stuff like that, thinking that, if you don't sit in a swanky office, the client is not going to give you a job. But let me tell you, our office is probably quite a dated office. It's an old building where we have an office. When you walk in, there is a beautiful warmth in the whole office. It is not swanky or smart, but we have clients like Microsoft and Google who don't care
Right,
about these things.
right.
So I
True.
keep telling everybody who start, be prudent. You don't have to show off. Let's get your finances secure first. Get your cash flow in place because you are responsible for your team. I'm responsible for 16 people's families and
Yes, yes.
salaries and everything. It's a huge responsibility all the time on my head. So we can't spend money on all these things when the priority is the people who work for you.
Right, yeah. I
So
think it's also a message to the employees that it's not the office which you're spending on them. So they understand and appreciate, and they, are ready to give you more than what is possible
and
for them physically and mentally. I think
true.
it is a very important aspect of.
And what happens in all this, you tend to build your own office culture. Like this is a word that you've been discussing in your management things as well about having the right office culture or office
Right.
fit, we call it.
Yes.
So it's not about your, which background you're from. It's about the office culture basically. So in our office, we are like, we love to eat, all of us. So you ask my team, they'll tell you where to order, what to order, when to order. They know all the restaurants are there, and it's a very happy-go-lucky kind of a team. We don't have a solid hierarchy, like without asking the senior, you can't approach me. Everybody is accessible to everybody. Everybody does everybody's work. So if the junior has got a deadline, the seniors will also help. So we don't have all those kind of hang-ups like typically offices will have. And in general, we all believe in honesty. So we very quickly understand if somebody is coming to the office who joined new and doesn't fit into the office culture, so to say, because even if you make a mistake, they'll come and tell, "Ma'am, बहुत बड़ा mistake हो गया side पे, we did this big blunder or whatever." I'll scold them, but in front of the client, I will never scold them. So I'll kind of manage it in front of them because I'm responsible for my whole
You
team,
have their
kind of a
back.
thing.
You have their back.
I'll
Very true.
always have their back, and same way they will also have my back.
Do
So
the same.
it's the culture that we have in the office, and I think we are more transparent and honest kind of people, and it comes across in our dealings with our clients also. If you see our fee code that we give them, it's very transparent. There is no hidden cost anywhere. I tell them very clearly, every stage, this is it. If you want another consultant, this is her fee, this is her phone number. You can contact her and ask whether this is her fee, because I don't believe in taking from anybody. I would never give anybody, so I will not take as well. So I think when we are transparent in our dealings, that's the kind of culture we have in our office also. So we don't bother what kind of dress somebody is wearing, whether you're coming in coat or suit, or we are sitting in a swanky place. We don't care about all that. It's all about the work, passion for the work, and passion for one another, and wanting to kind of be as a team and helping one another. So it makes a big difference when you have the right culture as well in the
Right.
office.
Definitely, and I think it's the organization culture which
Yeah,
I teach in my subjects as well, which is about how the culture is and how it is something which is learned on when you're there, rather than whether you actually
correct.
speak it out or not. Whether, like you said, about the strategic fit of the person when they've come in, about how they feel about
Yeah.
it. So that would actually be very important. Is there any last message or something which you would like to share with the audience who are maybe budding entrepreneurs, students, or anyone who's a leader and who's growing their team? Your mantra which you
Just
have always held by,
yeah,
and
I'm influenced a lot by Simon Sinek as well. And it was something that I read, and even many people have said this as entrepreneurs. People don't buy what you sell. People are buying why you sell. Okay, so now that we are selling products, we were doing services. We are a professional, right? And so now all the more, once I've kind of understand why I do what I do, and I encourage everybody to kind of find out why they do what they do. Once they do that, they will be selling it in a different way. They will sell the people why or what are the values they're bringing into their life, and not necessarily what the product is going to do for them. It's like, if I give you this product, what is going to happen to you because of this product? How you are going to be happy, how you're going to be well, how you're going to be mentally happy with the plants around you. So it's all about giving value to them. And and the second thing I say is, don't run behind money. Money will run behind you. You just go about doing what you have to do, and let me tell you, it will come behind you. It will.
That was a very good insight, especially, we, as every generation goes by, the next they have this to say about the next generation, that people are money minded and they're not interested in anything, but and every generation has been addressed as this. So I think that's an important point, that you focus, if your focus is on your work, money will follow. That's a great that's great. And if you know your why, and can convey that to people, I think that would be an important.
Definitely.
So thank you so much for your time, Rajalakshmi, and I wish you all the very best for your new project and for your current projects, and for helping me out with this session. And I'll definitely catch up with you offline. Bye for now, and take care.
Thank you. Bye. And it was a real pleasure, Sam. We learned a lot from you as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
And hi to all your team members there too.
Right. Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.